The seatbelt sign was still glowing when I felt her words slice through the cabin noise like a knife. Look at you, Emily, still playing dress-up in that cheap uniform. What are you, a glorified trolley dolly? My sister's laugh floated above the hum of the engines, loud enough for the couple, in one for A, to turn their heads. I swallowed the sting and stared out the window at the clouds we were about to punch through. 30,000 feet up, and I was already suffocating. My name is Emily Harper. For 8 years, I've worn the crisp white shirt and wings of a commercial airline captain, but to my family, I'm still the awkward kid who couldn't parallel park, especially to Sarah, 2 years older, twice as loud, and convinced the world spins around her influencer feed. This flight was supposed to be a reunion. Mom had begged us to fly home together for Dad's 60th. One weekend, girls, no drama. Famous last words. I'd offered to upgrade us both with my employee perks. Sarah rolled her eyes at the idea of sitting in the cockpit jump seat. I'm not your charity case. So we ended up in economy. Her in the middle, me on the aisle, a stranger's elbow in my ribs. As the safety video played, she kept scrolling through her phone, showing strangers her latest sponsored post. Jet setting with my baby Siskis, who still can't afford business class. The caption burned hotter than the cabin lights. I tried to tune her out. I really did. I traced the tiny scar on my thumb, a souvenir from my first solo in an F-16, and reminded myself why I'd chosen the sky. Flying wasn't about proving anything to Sarah, it was about control. Precision. The moment the runway falls away and the world shrinks to instruments and instinct. But Sarah had spent our whole lives shrinking me. Take your pick of memories. The time she borrowed my college acceptance letter and told everyone I'd been rejected. The prom night she convinced my date I was too clingy. The voicemail she left Mom the day I earned my wings. She crash and burn. Just watch. Each barb landed like a pebble in a jar. By 29, the jar was full. Boarding had felt like a truce. Sarah hugged me at the gate, all ring light smiles. This will be fun, right? Sister bonding. I wanted to believe her. I even packed her favorite peach gummies in my carry-on. But the second the wheels left the tarmac, the mask slipped. She leaned across the armrest, voice syrupy. Tell the truth, Em. You're just a bus driver with altitude, aren't you? The man next to her snorted. My cheeks flamed. I should have ignored it. Captains don't engage with turbulence. But something inside me cracked open. Just a hairline fracture. I turned to her, calm as the autopilot. Sarah, one day you'll need me more than you hate me. Let's hope it's not today. She blinked, then laughed harder. Cryptic much. Relax, Captain, bring down. The seatbelt sign dinged off. I excused myself to the restroom, locked the door, and pressed my forehead to the cool mirror. Breathe, Harper. You've landed in zero visibility. You can survive one flight with your sister. But what I didn't know, what none of us knew, was that the real storm was waiting at 38,000 feet, and it had nothing to do with weather. 40 minutes in, the aircraft banked gently left, chasing a shortcut over the Rockies. Sarah had moved on to like, guys, send questions. My sister's a pilot, well, sort of. She angled the camera so my reflection filled half the frame, hair escaping my bun, eyes tired. Comments flooded. Is she single? Ask if she's scared of heights. Then one that made my stomach drop. Bet she's faking the job for clout. Sarah read it aloud and cackled. Right? Total imposter energy. I felt every passenger's gaze like static. The flight attendants were busy. No one intervened. I pulled my noise-canceling headphones on, but the damage was done. My own sister had turned a plane full of strangers into her studio audience, and I was the punchline. Then the intercom crackled, not the usual chime, but a sharp, urgent tone. The captain's voice, usually smooth as runway concrete, wavered. Folks, this is Captain Reed. We've lost hydraulics in the primary flight control system. Please remain seated and follow crew instructions. The cabin lights flickered. A baby started crying. Sarah's phone screen went black midstream. I unbuckled before I could think. Years of muscle memory kicked in. I flashed my crew badge at the nearest attendant. Leela, wide-eyed but steady, and she waved me forward. Sarah grabbed my sleeve. Sit down. You're not even on duty. I met her eyes, really looked at her for the first time in years. Watch me. The cockpit door sealed behind me with a hiss. Captain Reed was sweating through his shirt, wrestling the yoke while the first officer ran emergency checklists. Outside, the left wing dipped sick. Captain Harper, Reed said, recognizing me. We need another set of hands. You current on the 737. I nodded. Fighter background. I've got this. What Sarah never knew, what no one in my family ever bothered to learn, was that before I flew passengers, I flew F-16s over hostile territory. Egress training. Systems failures. 0-second decisions. This was my language. I slid into the jump seat, scanning the panels. Hydraulic quantity, 0. Backup pumps, failing. We had maybe 20 minutes before the controls locked solid. Reed's voice stayed calm for the cabin, but his knuckles were white. Emily, we're diverting to Denver, but we need to dump fuel and configure for a no-flap landing. Can you take the radios? I keyed the mic. Denver Center, United 242 Heavy, declaring emergency, hydraulic failure, requesting priority vectors and crash fire rescue on standby. The controller's voice was steady, but I heard the urgency underneath. Sarah's face flashed in my mind, her smirk, her livestream, the way she'd always reduced me to a footnote. I shoved it down. 300 souls behind that door. Focus. Back in the cabin. Sarah was panicking. I caught glimpses through the cockpit door window, her clutching the armrests, mascara streaking. The irony tasted metallic. For once, she wasn't the star. The Rocky Mountains slid beneath us like jagged teeth. Fuel gauges dropped as we vented thousands of pounds overboard, lightening the jet for a bellyflop landing. Every second stretched. I coached Reed through the QRH Quick Reference Handbook, my voice the only steady thing in the cockpit. Flaps 15, gear down, speed brakes armed. We'll ride the reversers like sleds. Sarah's voice crackled over the intercom. Lila must have patched her through. Emily, are you flying the plane? I didn't answer. There wasn't time. Touchdown was brutal. The runway rushed up, tires screaming, sparks flying as the gear kissed concrete without hydraulics to cushion the blow. Reverse thrust roared. I counted the seconds, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi until the deceleration pinned us forward. The plane fishtailed, then straightened. We rolled to a stop just shy of the overrun. Silence, then applause thundered from the cabin. Fire trucks surrounded us, lights strobing red and white. Paramedics boarded first, then passengers. I stepped into the aisle last, legs trembling. Sarah stood at the front, eyes swollen, phone forgotten. She opened her mouth, maybe an apology, maybe another jab it. Nothing came out. A little girl in a denim jacket tugged my sleeve. Are you the pilot who saved us? I knelt. Just one of the team, sweetie. Behind her, Sarah watched, something unreadable flickering across her face. Later, in the terminal, reporters swarmed. Someone shoved a microphone toward Sarah. Ma'am, your sister just landed a crippled aircraft. Any comment? She stared at the lens, then at me. I was wrong about her. The words were small, almost lost in the chaos, but I heard them. That night, in a hotel courtesy of the airline, I finally opened the peach gummies. Sarah knocked. She looked smaller without her ring light. I'm sorry, for everything. I didn't know. I cut her off. Gentle. You never asked. We sat on opposite beds, the space between us heavy with years. She cried. I didn't. Not yet. The next morning, her apology video went viral, not for clout, but for contrition. I mocked the wrong hero. Comments poured in. Proud of you for owning it. Your sister's a legend. She read them aloud, voice cracking. I listened, then closed the laptop. This isn't about likes, Sarah. It's about seeing people. I flew home commercial the next day. Captain's privilege. Cockpit again. As the wheels lifted, I looked down at the patchwork earth and felt the fracture inside me knit closed. Revenge wasn't humiliation. It was truth wearing wings. Sarah texted from economy. Can we start over? I smiled, typed back. Only if you sit in the jump seat next time. Sometimes justice doesn't shout. It just lands exactly where it needs to, smooth and on center line. And the sky. It forgives everyone eventually, even sisters who learned too late that the quiet one was holding the controls all along.